Hi, in this video we're going to have a little bit of a closer look at how you can navigate through Collaborate Online's folder structure and go down into the individual files and look at the contents of the folders and how the files are displayed. So here I've gone into my project called Express Buildings. I'm down into Drawing Distribution. I'm further down into Third Party and into a folder called For Approval. You can see that I've still got two other folders below this called In Build and M&E, and I can also see those folders here. I could click on either of these options here to navigate down to those folders, but I'm going to stay in this For Approval folder for the time being. And I'm just going to look at how each item is displayed. Here we've got the file name. I've also given this file a file number when I uploaded it. We've got the date that it was updated, and presently it's showing me that it has an approved status. We're showing that this is in version 1 of this file. This one below, file below, has actually been incremented, so this is version 2. There are evidently two versions of this file on the system, and we're displaying the latest version here. A couple of other items, we've got tags, one called active and one called urgent against each file. Now, again, just walking you through in more detail. To download a file, you simply click on it. That will open the file and download it in accordance with the settings on your browser. This browser's opened it in a separate tab. Some browsers will download it to the left-hand corner of your navigation window. You can adjust those settings in your browser, but all Collaborate Online does in this case is it supplies the file to your browser for it to display it as it's told to. Looking at the other icons as we go along, the first icon we see here is a repeat of the download function, so that would download it. The second icon is an eye symbol. Now this places this item on watch alert. That means that if anything changes about this file, you will receive an email notification even if the person who made that change didn't choose to notify you. So it's a very useful feature. Incidentally, from the top here you can take an option to watch an entire folder. So that would send a notification to you if anything changes on this folder, once again even if the user concerned didn't update you about it. The second icon here is comments. If we click here, we can see a history of comments made by a variety of users about this particular file. You can add a further comment by clicking on the plus tab, or again just look at these comments as you wish. Let's go back to the file again. The padlock icon, as you might imagine, will lock the file. So if you have the right access rights, you can lock a particular file and then no other user will be able to change it or modify it in any way. The time icon, the clock icon, gives you the activity audit history for this particular file. Now this is a search routine. Obviously some files can have a great deal of history associated with them, so the default settings just shows you the, I'm going to call it, most relevant activities, but from this search you could pick and choose whether you wanted to see how many times this file has been downloaded, whether there are any RFIs, whether it's been shared, etc. All of these features are available in the activity audit, and you can filter either by type of activity, either by user, either by date range, or you can even put some text in here to further refine the search and show you some detailed activity about the history of that particular file. The cog icon opens up further features and functions that you have about this particular file. The first three options relate to what we might call file management or file manipulation, and in order they are: the first arrow would allow you to move a file, the second arrow would allow you to take what we call a static copy of a file, and the third arrow is called a dynamic copy or a link file in those instances. Now I'm going to cover those in a separate video, so I'm going to go straight onto the pencil icon, which is what we call a manual edit of the file, or of what we call the metadata surrounding the file. So for example here I could change the drawing type, or the document type rather, I could change its status, I could even edit its file name, and I could browse for a new version of that file or a different version. I can add here notes such as the reason for the update, and I could choose to tag the file. So the pencil icon is what you might call an edit of the data surrounding the file, and you can use that assuming of course you have the right permissions. And whilst we're talking about permissions, the last entry under the cog is the kind of scary one, which is the red X for delete. You'll only see that if you have delete permissions on the folder. And indeed, generally looking at this whole list of icons, depending on your permissions, you might only have view only, you might only have a view and edit permissions. You may not be able to see all of these icons when you log into any particular folder. And if I refine that further, you may see different icons on different folders because you have different permissions within different folders. And if you have any queries about that, you could speak to your system administrator to check exactly what permissions you have. So there's a brief overview of the icons alongside each particular file in Collaborate Online.